Hello, ski racing fans, and welcome to the American Downhiller Podcast, Season 2, Episode 9. I'm two-time Olympian Doug Lewis, and with me is World Championship medalist AJ Kitt, Chamonix World Cup winner Marco Sullivan, and World Champion Daron Rawls is up on the hill at Palisades, slipping this crazy powder from the hill to help get the races off this weekend.
In the cat with control, I got Jet Seymour and Luke Winters here too.
All right, boys.
Hey, Luke Winters. Hey, good morning, guys.
Okay. Hey, Hansi.
Hey.
What's up, buddy?
Nice to see you guys.
And sorry we can't join you for this podcast. We got some work to do on the mountain. Trying to open this mountain up. Give the World Cup boys, a chance this weekend. Oh, yeah. We're off, heading up the mountain. See you, Louis.
Thanks, man. See you in Aspen.
Hey, we are back from the World Championships, where we saw Marco Odermatt get his first downhill victory, which happened to be at the World Championships. And now our focus turns to our next World Cup downhill for the men, which is Aspen. It's returning to Aspen, and our guest today is a special one. He won an Olympic silver in 1998 Nagano Super G. He has 2 World Championships medals, one in 1999 in Beaver Creek. On the World Cup, he had 237 starts, 27 podiums, and 7 World Cup victories, including Alta Badia, Adelboden, Kvitfeld, and Kitzbuhel. Yes, we have the Kitzbuhel Sieger on the show. Please welcome Hans Knauss from Austria.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Hans. Where are you? And
hey,
did you get to ski today?
Yes, I skied today just until lunchtime because it's pretty warm at the moment back home in Schladming, but the Planai is still good. Machine snow, that what still works. Behind me is the best, You can see.
For those listeners who are not watching, it is green grass at the bottom of Schladming. Yeah. So did you have to mow your lawn?
Yeah. Not this week, but if I come back home after Aspen, for sure I have to move. But yeah, I mean, it is not the best winter.
Cool. Before we get to Aspen, I want to talk about Team Austria. You were part of Team Austria with the likes of Maier, Eberharter, Reich, Volkhofer, Schifferer, Franz, Stroble, and in your Kitzbuhel win, there was 8 Austrians in the top 13. What was it like to be part of that Austrian team?
Yeah, it was a little crazy to be part of this team. Sometimes I'm thinking afterward, maybe it would be way better for me to be earlier or later on in the team. But the other side is, if you win Kitzbuhel with all these names in the team, and it was sunny weather, it was the start on the top. If you win it at this time, we were the best for one day, at this day in Kitzbuhel. So it was really, really good because Hermann Maier had at this time number 8, I had number 10, and I break the finish in the finish area, and then I saw the number 1. So it was sure for me that I will win Kitzbuhel. So that's a great feeling.
So our American downhiller team was quite small. We got together, we did rookie nights, it was a tight group. Was it stressful being on this team, or what was the team atmosphere like for the Austrians?
It was stressful is the right word. Yeah. I was sometimes dreaming to be in a smaller team, like the Norwegians or the US team. I know Daron Rawls for nearly my whole life. I know him since the junior championship. And I was always, looking with one eye to this team because you can go up in the World Cup way easier than in the Austrian team, because I was a giant slalom skier. Then I came to the Super G. And then I saw them that I'm still fast also in downhill, but I didn't get the spot to race there, But in the other side, it keeps you on pushing to get also into the downhill team. So yeah, I take a lot of risk at this time. And at this time, it starts that the downhill's getting dirtier and dirtier because the material getting better and better. So that was my goal, to be good in downhill too.
Hans, I'm a couple years older than you, and I came in to the U.S. ski team and the World Cup as a pure downhiller. I wasn't good in slalom and GS. And I was coming in, and,
Yeah.
and the likes of Peter Bernsberger and Helmut Hoflander were established veteran Austrian downhillers at the time. And these were guys that I looked at as the guys I was competing with. And then years later, towards the end of my career, a bunch of these GS guys show up and they start dominating in downhill. Knauss, Maier, Eberharter, and a bunch of these other guys. What do you think happened there in the 90s that allowed such a shift from a pure downhiller to be what it takes to be a downhiller to more of a technical skier, like you guys that came out of a GS background?
You know, it was for us, same for Maier Hermann. It was way easier, or for Eberharter. And for me, it was way easier to win a downhill in Kitzbuhel or Beaver Creek, to be good there, the technical parts. It was no chance for me in Val d'Isère, the gliding downhill. It was a lot of speed in there, or Chamonix. I was always wondering how I should ski there to be fast, you know. And so for us, it was to be first good in Super G and then in downhill. That was the step up. And you need a lot of miles on downhill races to getting fast in this long gliding section, in these long turns. It takes for me nearly 3 seasons to be fast there. So I start 94, 95, the first downhills. And then I recognized that it's not just to be good in flat gliding, super gliding. You have to be fast in these long line turns. And so that was the problem for us. But you know, I think we pushing up together. So it was, and exactly this time they start to prepare all this race course with water injection and chemicals that is really icy, and that was good for us, the good technical skiers.
So yeah, the courses changed a lot, didn't they? They got a little bit turnier.
Yeah.
And all that stuff favored more technical skiers.
That's right. Yeah. AJ, I promise you, it was exactly when you finished in the World Cup that the downhill gets to change the next 3 years. I recognized, because you talk about. I watched you on TV, AJ Kid. Also, the name, it was famous for us here, you know, and you were also a really, really good glider, I remember. And these guys like Helmut Höflener, Leonhard Stock, and all these oldies in the Austrian team, they were the real downhillers, really fast down the hill, the straightest line, you know, and then it starts to getting really dirty.
Yeah.
Marco, he mentioned Val d'Isère and Chamonix, and we've got AJ Kit and Sully, champions there.
Hans, what you were just talking about, like the actual turns of downhill and versus GS, Super G. Like I've always thought the Austrians were so fundamentally sound. Like you're so good at the fundamentals of racing compared to the American team. Why do you think, or where did you learn those fundamentals when you were a kid? Like, was your regimen really structured on the technical aspects of skiing, or how'd that happen?
So for me, you know, where I grew up, we hosted 82 the first time the World Championship in Schladming. I remember Phil and Steve Maier. Steve Maier won the giant slalom, I have in my head. I think the giant slalom, Ingemar Stenmark was there, and for sure the Crazy Canucks at this time, really strong. And also the US team. And for me, it was sure I was 11 in the age, 82. So for me, it was sure to be, that was my dream, to be a skier, you know, World Cup skier. And I grew up there with a lot of in really steep pists for training, and that makes you really a technical skier more than to be just downhill, you know. But then it was for me for sure when I saw 84 Franz Klammer, Resch, Steiner. They had a victory in Kitzbühel, 3 Austrians on the top. It was for me sure once I will be there in Kitzbühel. And then I start also with downhill training after age of 15, you know. Before it was not allowed for us. And it was for me always a dream, but I didn't have the physical stuff with me. I was too small to be a downhiller. And that's why I started first with giant slalom skiing. And maybe afterward, it was good for my career because I had a really, really good technique. I mean, if you win in Adelboden, you need to have a technique. And that helps me a lot also in downhill, but just in the technical part. And I remember you, Marco Sullivan, shocked us. We had a shock moment with Sullivan in Beaver Creek a long time ago in the training. You came there as a young boy, and the US team and the Austrian team, we had together a downhill training on the top of Beaver Creek, not the downhill race course, Birds of Prey, but the left one. And you shocked us in, I think it was 1 minute downhill. And I lost it was in the end of November. And I lost in this 1 minute, maybe 3 or 4 seconds, I was behind you, but every training's run. And we didn't know how it works, you know. You were so unbelievable fast in gliding. And then after 2 days, we came into 2 seconds behind Sullivan. You remember that?
Oh, I remember that. I didn't know how it worked either. I was like, I was still, that was my first World Cup team, and I came in.
And we said, I mean, this Sullivan is unstoppable, we said, you know. And I mean, it was 1 week or 2 weeks before the World Cup race in Beaver Creek. So we had a really stress moment in our team.
That's really nice to hear that I stressed out the team.
I don't forget that. I don't forget. We watched video and everything and said, so the new generation is here.
I think I had some fast skis that training session.
No, not just fast skis. And I think if you come back now in a downhill, in gliding, I think there is maybe 1 or 2 guys can compete with you in gliding. It's unbelievable. So fun.
You were talking about stress, Hans. Talk about being on the Austrian team. And do you remember races where you did not podium in a downhill? And did your coaches get on you? Like, what was the stress of being an Austrian and not winning or not podium?
You know, the problem, the stress, it was always, if you're not on the podium, it was for sure that you will not compete at the next World Championship or Olympic team. You know, that was the problem. You have to win a race or to be always in the top 3 to be part of the Olympic team. And that was really, really stress in the head, because it's not funny. You want to compete in big events. You want to get the chance there. And that was always really, really tough, because you said that the group with Hermann Maier, with Eberharter and myself, that was the World Cup 3. That was like a combination team between the technical and the downhill team. And we sit in the middle, and then was the downhill team. And we had a huge fight between these teams to get these spots in giant slalom or to get the spot also at the speed event. And that was sometimes like 2 or 3 different countries fighting. You know, it was not just funny. It was really a lot of concurrent in this team, you know, and fight also between the coaches. And it was not just funny, but it makes us fast. That was the only good thing.
Yeah. Pressure makes diamonds, doesn't it? So compare that to today, right? We just got done with the World Championships, and I don't think Austria won a gold medal at the whole Worlds, right?
No, that's a drama. What's going on?
What's changed?
Yeah, it's changed. I think a lot of things changed. The team blowing up, getting a lot of coaches and a lot of things, you know, preparation going on. I think in my mind, it's too much, you know, because you have to race and ski by yourself and alone down the hill. That's the good thing. And, you know, they blow the team up the last 10, 15 years, and now it's over. So we have to change something there. That's for sure. And we talked about that we're pushing up together. And now we have enough spots. Sometimes we can't find enough, like at the Junior World Championship, that we have 4 or 5 strong people on the start. And we are not used to handle this problem, you know. And in Austria is skiing like a religion, you know. And if we lose, it's a drama. And maybe the difference, like if you are strong with the US team, everyone is happy and you go back home And it's way easier to live in US if you go back home after the Olympics or the World Championship, and if you lose or if you go home as an Austrian, there's so much pressure on the team, and they have to learn to handle this. I don't know the word now, but one is for sure, some things we were not strong enough at the training and everything the last years. We missed some things. The power of the team. We had in the team many small teams, and that's not the concurrent. You need to get up,
I have a funny story. When I came into the World Cup, through the 80s, all the legendary Austrians, right? And I came in and I observed in my early part of my career that it was all business, right? The Austrian guys were always very serious, always training harder than everybody else, and they had the success. Well, last year, now I'm coaching my son a little bit, and we were in South America. We have a small group, and the Austrian men's Europa Cup speed team was down there training. Christian Perner, coach, had like 8 or 10 Austrian guys. Same thing. Just these guys are all business, very rigid, very serious, training hard, pushing. Well, one of the guys had a birthday when they were down there, and they partied and had a great time. And I thought, oh, this is so nice to see the Austrians are loosening up a little bit, and they had some fun, which was great. And then the next day we trained GS with the group, and they set a course, the toughest course ever. And Perner was punishing the boys because they had a lot of fun the night before partying for a birthday. And it was the most difficult, turniest, tightest GS course ever. And the guys were absolutely punished. He made them run 10 runs. And so it was nice to see kind of the yin and the yang, a little bit of looseness, but it's still, the next day you remind you that it's still a serious thing in Austria.
That's typical.
That
That's typical. That's what my coach always said. If you can drink, you can train next day.
Yeah, that was proven for sure in South America.
Yeah. But, maybe I see it like this, that we were so strong that was for sure that will come another time in the team. And if you lose, then you lose way more than you think before that you can lose. And now they have to get back up. But, we had Hirscher, and at this time, Hirscher won every race nearly, it seems. And at this time, we had really, they focused, the boss and all the coaches focused on Hirscher, focused on these victories in the Austrian team, but they put way too much energy on the top of the team and not on the juniors. And that's what we feel now, and we see now the result,
Not enough focus on the juniors, right?
Yeah, we have to. They up, and if they are good in World Cup, they know how to handle to win a race, to be good in World Cup. But you have to focus as a team, as a big team like the Austrian team. You have to focus on the juniors, because then you get the nature pressure from behind, and the feeling how it is if the young ones are coming.
I do. I'm looking right at you, Marco.
Yeah. Hansi, you've been the commentator for so long now. I mean, I think you're really respected in the whole industry and in Austria, of course. Like, do you talk about these things online or during the race, or do you just stick to talking about the skiing?
Yeah, no, we talk about that for sure. I was on a TV show last week, so we talked about this, the problems in the Austrian team, and also the problem that we didn't catch a gold medal. It was the first time after 1987. It was we had the last World Championship without a gold medal. Yeah, Gromontana, that's right. And so for sure, we talk a lot about this, and the newspapers are full with it, that we lose, that we are not the ski nation #1 anymore. And we have to respect it. But for me as a commentator, is skiing not just Austria. I know that maybe you think in Austria we just watch on the Austrian team. No, we are big fans, and that's the good thing in Austria. The Austrian people they love to watch skiing on TV, and they are huge fans of Bode Miller, of the US team, or Ted Ligety, and all the Norwegian, and all, like now the Odermatt. They have a lot of fans in Austria, and that's the good thing, that we love the sport. And if I commentate, it doesn't really, it's not so necessary for me that the Austrians, for sure that we'll have the focus on them if we commentate. But for me, it's a good race way more important than that we win or lose. You know, I want to commentate a cool, good race, and that's what I did the last 18 years. And it will be still my line what I do the next 10 years for sure.
Hey, Doug Lewis here. If you've ever dreamed of traveling to Wengen or Kitzbuhel to watch the classic World Cup downhills, then the ADL Ski Club is for you. Their small group trips are geared for passionate skiers and race fans. They take you to the heart of ski racing's biggest races at the Lauberhorn, Hahnenkamm, and Night Slalom in Schladming. This year, American downhiller AJ Kidd is leading the group to Kitzbuhel, and they have a ton of special access to the races, parties, and athletes that make this World Cup unique among all professional sports. Even though this year's trips are both sold out, right now is the perfect time to get your name on the list for next year's trips. Visit adlskiclub.com. That's adlskiclub.com and reach out to them to secure your spot. Rumor has it that I might even be joining them for one of these trips soon.
Do you consider the slalom at the World Championships a good race? Was that a fun race to commentate?
I didn't commentate the slalom because it was super, but the second run, it was crazy. And AJ Guinness, I'm a big fan of him. I mean, it was really funny. And this run, oh my God, I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm not a slalom skier.
I felt so bad for Manny. I mean, before the race, I'm like, okay, Manny can redeem himself for Kitzbuhel and Schladming if he goes and wins. Right. And then he wins the first run, and then second run came the way it was. And I was just like, oh, that poor guy. So,
but when I saw this really difficult turning second run, it was nearly not sure for me, but I was not 100% sure how it will work for Manny. And so he's a really funny guy, good guy, and we hold the thumbs for him. But at this time it doesn't work. And so it was the biggest story on TV. It was because AJ Guinness made the silver medal. That was the story the next days on the newspaper and on TV.
Yeah, that was very cool.
It goes back to development and all the problems with all our teams. They focus on the best, the Hirscher, the Schifferens, whatever. And we all know that development gets thrown out. Like, we don't need it. We just going to focus on our heroes, and it pays. Yeah. And there's AJ Guinness coming back from
great. Yeah. 6 knee injuries. I mean, normally you say, no way, no more skiing, you know, and these are the good stories. You said, I mean, we know everything about Michaela Schifrin. We know everything about Christoffersen, Hirscher, and Odermatt. You hear everything about these guys, but there are a lot of other skiers. I love to see them on the top of the podium or being good in the World Championships, because ski racing, it's not just, we have not just one hero in the women's team or not just one hero in the men's team. So the World Cup lives with guys like Giannis.
Yeah,
nice.
That's awesome. Good story. But by the way, you were asking me earlier about the World Cup Dreams. So AJ Guinness is a guy that got funding from World Cup Dreams. So, you know, he's one of their big success stories now because he's back on the top.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That works. I checked that out. That works in US way better. This foundation and stuff, and this like here in Europe. Now it starts a little bit, but if you jump out of the Austrian team here, the most time it's done. And so it's a good program. And so you can see how it could work. And that's motivation for a lot of other people.
All right, let's turn our attention to Aspen, the next World Cup. That was my first ever World Cup in 1981. I was 17 years old. I weighed about 10 pounds, but that was my first race. AJ, you have a special story with Aspen, Marco, but let's start with Hans. You raced there a couple times, 4th and 5th in the Super G. Talk about Aspen, going to Aspen as an Austrian, and what was the feel of that race for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was the first time in Aspen. It was 93. And when we flew in, my coach said to me before we land in Aspen, he said to me, you know, Aspen is a little dangerous, but not just on the race course. So take care of you. And I was wondering, and I said to him, why? What do you mean? He said, you will see all the bars and when the lifestyle, what's going on there. And, you know, I love Aspen. It's one of the nicest places. This ski resort is crazy town. And yeah, so it was the first time for me to be in the first year of World Cup. I was on the close to the podium, rank 4, place 4, just 200 behind Daniel Maier at this time in this Super G. And I didn't have a spot in downhill. I was not strong enough to be part of the team, but in Super G. And so I have really, really good memories about this race course, the Aztec down. I love this hill. It's so steep there. And especially this snow, this North American snow, I love. You need to have feeling in skiing.
AJ, I'm going to throw it to you. You can talk about your 2 wins that were taken aback, but let's start with that course. That course matched you, didn't it? Especially on the top. Take us down the course.
Yeah, it did. And this is how much I love Aspen. It's my home screen.
It's his phone home screen.
You know, it's, you know, not only was it our home race, right? So that was our one chance to race in, you know, in front of the home fans, the family. And so, you know, for that reason alone, it had a really special meaning. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that course, you know, matched my style. It, you know, the whole top flat section gave me an opportunity to, you know, to use my gliding skills to be fast coming into the top of Aztec with a chance, you know, and it wasn't just gliding like the top of Beaver Creek, which is just flat and really slow. It is, you haul ass up there. I mean, it's fast, it's jumps, you know, you're flying blind. And I love that kind of stuff. You have to trust your inspection. But then, you know, man, from the top of Aztec down, I'm not sure there's a course in the world that has as much action. You know, it's action, it's steep, it's, you know, airplane turn is so unique. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just one I loved. It just fit my personality perfectly.
Wend produces a sophisticated line of ski and snowboard waxes for use by skiers, riders, racers, and shops. The current Wend snow wax formulations have come from over 50 years of progressive blend reformulation and on-slope and in-lab testing. This has been in conjunction with the feedback of some of the world's top ski and snowboard athletes. Athletes who know real speed, like Kitzbuhel champ Daron and 2019 Birds of Prey GS champion Tommy Ford. Wend no longer sells any products containing fluorocarbon compounds and instead utilizes natural, plant-derived and/or biodegradable additives that substantially increase the overall eco-friendliness of the Wend Snow Wax product line. Give Wend a follow on Instagram at Wend Waxworks and purchase your Wend products at wendperformance.com. And don't forget to use the code ADH20 for 20% off your purchase.
It's hard for Marco that we didn't have a downhill there.
I never got to race in Aspen, and I think it stopped right before I came on the World Cup.
But AJ, you said the top, it was not just flat gliding, and that's the difficult part of downhill. And I want that we have this part of downhill back. You know, this when it's left, then the right hand, there's rolls in there. That's that, and a lot of speed in there for gliding and jumps. That's what we want to have back. I
mean, that's the thing that happened, that whole part of downhill just got phased out, I think, in the 90s with that whole shift with the new equipment and the new style of setting courses. You know, this just go style, like the top of Bormio. I mean, the same thing, the top of Bormio, man, it's like grab a rocket and hold on, you know? And that's the kind of thing that we miss, I think, in downhill nowadays. And the jumps are being shaved down a little bit. I mean, look at the mouse volley in Kitzbuhel this year was a joke. I mean, and the finish jump was a joke. It was terrible. It was terrible for the sport. But, you know, Aspen, I think, offers a lot to these guys. I mean, I was there in 17 when they had the World Cup finals. And I know the men hadn't been back at that point since 1995. So it had been 22 years. And so I was really excited to see how the guys who'd never skied there before, a lot of them weren't even born when it was raced last time, ask them, what do you think? How do you like it? I mean, yeah, it's short. It's 1:45, but it's high elevation. So it's tough, right? They all loved it. I mean, to this day, we had Dom Paris on the show last month, and he loves it. He won the race. And so I'm excited to go back and see again, now that the whole field will be there. It's not just the finals with 20 guys. I'm excited to see how they like it. And I expect that they will love it, and it'll be fun. And it's going to become, hopefully it's going to become a regular stop on the tour again.
Yeah, that's what I'm dreaming about, because we need to have places like Aspen back in the calendar, in the schedule. So that's for sure.
Yeah, it costs so much money to prepare a downhill early in the season when you don't have natural snow to deal with. I mean, I know Beaver Creek, it costs them a lot of money to hold that race. And look, I love Beaver Creek. That's another great race that I would hate to see leave the calendar. But yeah, scheduling is always difficult. Zermatt was a great example. There's just no way Zermatt was going to happen last year with the pre-season winter that was happening. So yeah, that is a difficult question. It's a difficult problem to fix. That how do we hold the best races on the best courses at the right time of year? And do we make it a 5-month season, or do we make it 3? It's tough, but it's so much fun when we get a good race. Bormio this year I thought was fantastic. It was so tough for the guys. It's just how you want Bormio to be. But you asked about the U.S. holding 2. I mean, Italy's got 2, Bormio and Val Gardena. I think it's possible, especially with Lake Louise going away. We have to have more races in North America.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, all the athletes, they want to ski over there because it's huge sport in the US and in Canada. So we need to have races there. That's for sure. And also for the junior program behind, for the Canadian team, for the US team, it's very, very good if in the same country, if they organize and do some World Cups, maybe they make some NORAMs before or later. That's what they do in Kitzbuhel and in Wengen now. It seems good for me, because then the young skiers also get used to it, that they know the next step up to the World Cup, the next level, that they see it really early. That would be also good, like in Aspen or in Beaver Creek.
I want to talk about maybe your best memory in Aspen, or just something that stands out. I have to share this, that so I raced from 81 to 88. I raced with Peter Mueller. And Peter Mueller was universally hated, which was awesome, because it was just something we could all rally around. So Peter Mueller was down at the bottom of 1A or whatever, at the bottom of the finish where that lift is. And he was being classic Peter Mueller. He was bumping through. And so he cut the line to get onto the chairlift and push these tourists over. And, Peter just usually got his way. But the lifty from Aspen stood up to Peter Mueller and punched him in the head and knocked him over. And, Peter had that weird helmet, which was like tin foil, but the whole place cheered for this lifty who just punched Peter Mueller and put him down on his back. It was fantastic. So
poor Peter.
We love Europeans coming to Aspen, but play by the rules, especially Peter Mueller. But it was just something I'll never forget. And I have so many great memories of Aspen. That was my first World Cup.
We also had some problems with the rules in Aspen. The Austrian team.
Yeah, maybe you can tell that story, Hans.
Yeah, Schifferer and Maier. Long time ago.
Let me hear
Europeans, it. The Europeans, they don't know how to handle after 10 beers the life in Aspen. They went back home with the bicycle at this time, but the bicycle was not his. They were stolen.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, yeah.
Did they end up in jail, I hope?
Yeah, for a while, yeah.
Doug Lewis here. If you are a U12, U14, or U16, Elite Team fitness camps are for you. This is not your average fitness camp, as we teach the vital skills of sports psychology and sports nutrition, along with tough, challenging workouts. You will leave camp with more power, strength, and agility, with a deeper understanding about nutrition, and with the mental skills of confidence, focus, and pushing limits, which will take you to the next level. Over our 30 years, we have coached Olympic champions, World Cup stars, NCAA champions, including U.S. ski teamers Michaela Schifrin, Lauren Masuga, Alice Merriweather, Jimmy Krupka, Grace Henderson, and Sammy Worthington. And finally, although we push our limits to the edge, we have a ton of fun. We are holding 2 week-long sessions this July at the Killington Mountain School. Find all the info at eliteteam.com.
Louis, you were asking me about my favorite memory in Aspen, and you know, I've got a lot of them, but as a ski racer, you're there to win. And you know, my favorite by far, it was standing on the podium in Aspen, you know, getting the trophy, spraying the champagne. And then, you know, they gave me the microphone, and this was right in the beginning of prize money. And so, you know, the workers, you know, as we know in America, ski racing doesn't happen without volunteers, right? Especially we're seeing it in Tahoe right now, trying to prep that hill, fighting Mother Nature. And the workers in Aspen always like took a lot of pride in preparing that hill. And I just had a great moment, you know, being able to thank them. They were all in the crowd. They all, you know, they're all ski fans too. And just the opportunity to appreciate the volunteers and thank them for everything that they did to help us get that race off. That was, to me, that was one of the most gratifying moments. And most of them ended up over at Shlomo's, which was the bar at the bottom of the gondola at the time. It's a different one now, but I opened the tab up there for a couple of hours for the course workers. So that was a ton of fun. That was my favorite moment.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, if you're on the podium in Aspen, it must be a great feeling afterward if you go out there, huh?
Yeah. Oh,
if you make party, that's like it's the same like Kitzbuhel, the Londoner, huh? Where you go afterward.
I think I burnt my whole prize money check at Shlomo's that afternoon, but it's okay. It was worth it.
But after I retired, 2017, I came back and ran the World Cup finals, and it was terrifying because I was like a year of powder skiing. You know, that year I hadn't put on my downhill skis for a year and got onto those top flats like AJ was talking about. You're just flying, going on those jumps. And I was just like, oh, I'm going fast. And it was not pretty, but that course is really cool.
I remember that the first time it was my 3rd Super G World Cup. I had this spot with number around 40, and I was on the start and jumped into my skis. And then the serviceman said, "Hey, look, there is something broken." And so one screw were broken. So the binding, it was not straight on the ski. It was a little to the left. And I said, "Oh my gosh, shit, what we should do now?" And he came to me and hit my boot with his ski boot. And then it was straight. And he said, "It will be okay."
Go.
and that's the way I start out there. And I had really I was not really focused. I just skied, and then I had the best result. So it was for me sure that I didn't have time to think something, to be nervous or think something other things, you know, sometimes stupid things. I was just concentrate if the binding is holding or not. And then I came to the finish, and I was on the 4th position with number 40 around, you know. And sometimes I'm thinking about that maybe I would also need later on often a problem on the start to be fast, you know.
Hey, Doug Lewis here, and I want to talk about the American Downhiller Speed Camp. American Downhiller is the leader in teaching young ski racers how to go fast and have fun. 2023 will mark the 6th annual American Downhiller Speed Skills Camp in Mammoth Mountain. Our speed camp is coached exclusively by current and former World Cup racers and coaches who are passionate about helping the next generation of athletes achieve their dreams. We specifically focus on aerodynamics, jumping technique, speed tactics, and the mental training required to safely navigate Super G and downhill race courses. If you are a ski racer who wants to go fast, check out our website, AmericanDownhiller.com, for all specific camp dates. Well, let's get to some picks for Aspen. Aspen, very much a tale of 2 downhills, the top, fast, gliding, airtime, feel, and then you get to Aztec and the world drops out from under you. It's all about edge angle. It's about clean skiing, and it stacks up on you very well. So does it favor the glider? Does it favor the turner? What are your thoughts on what kind of skier wins this race? Is it old style like AJ, or is it Odermatt?
I mean, Odermatt, he can do everything. That's the good thing, because we saw it 1 year ago in Wengen. He's also really, really fast in gliding. And with his Stöckli skis, they mostly really perfect prepared. So there is no place in a downhill where he's not fast. And that's why he's the leader at the moment. But for sure, that's the good thing on Aspen. You need to have from everything a little bit now, because I think also the upper part, where normally is mostly gliding and stuff, they prepare the races now. It's my mind so that you have to work also on the upper part a lot. It's maybe turnier than 20 years ago, So it's for sure, you need to be in every different kind of skiing, racing. You need to be good. Otherwise, it's no chance to win Aspen. And that's good on this downhill.
Yeah, I think it's a course, like Hansi said, you got to be good in everything. For sure favors the Odermatt and Kilde, who have been really doing great all year. But I think also these later season races, you tend to see some surprises, because maybe the top dogs are getting a little bit worn down from racing so much and so much pressure. And I think you always see some of those guys who have been stacked in 10 to 20 all year, they could maybe throw it in there and vie for the win. So maybe we'll be surprised.
I'm gonna honor Daron because he's not here, and I'm gonna pick like 10 people to be in the top 3 just to make sure that I get it right. But I think you can't count out Kilde and you can't count out Odermatt, so we don't even need to talk about those guys anymore because they're probably going to be there. But I really like Crawford. Okay, I mean he's on it right now. I think this course is perfect for him. I also really like this course for the Americans. Arvidsson and Negamir. These guys are going to be feeling good on home snow, feeling comfortable. And frankly, Hans mentioned it, the snow in North America is a little bit different. And I think these guys are going to just feel good with what they're feeling under their feet. And then, the last one I'll throw in here is going to be Dom Paris. He won this race in 2017. So he's coming back to good feelings. And I just like this course for him.
AJ, that's perfect what you said with the snow, because one is for sure, Kilde can be fast on every snow. But if, like Odermatt, if it's really cold there in Aspen and the North American snow, then it's Odermatt, it's perfect for him. And if it's the springtime snow, the corny snow, if it's get frozen in the morning and really fast snow, then maybe he's killed a little bit in the lead, or if you say before the race, or like Maier, the Austrian. You have seen the World Championship in downhill last year. He won this downhill in the springtime. It was different, the snow, to this year. We had cold snow over there, little the North American snow, so he had no chance on this exactly same downhill, same skis, same good physical condition, everything. But that's what's crazy now. It's getting so fine, this sport, that you can see that some guys love this spring snow and some guys love this North American snow. I prefer the North American snow because there you need feeling.
Yeah, I agree.
The North American snow. Since we're talking about the athletes, Hans, I want to ask you about Marco Schwartz. He's had like an amazing season to me, to have some good results in downhill and slalom and all across the board. Has that been a big story in Austria?
Yeah, that was maybe the most lucky thing about the World Championship, the most thing we talk positive about this, because he showed that he's at the moment maybe the only skier in the world who can be in top 5 in a downhill and also in a slalom. Odermatt can win all 3 disciplines up from giant slalom. Bernd Giraud, in his best time, he showed that he can make some points in downhill, but not in the big top 5, and win a slalom. But Marco Schwarz, he's at the moment in the best form on his life, and he really he could be in top 3, maybe also in a downhill, and top 3 in a slalom, and that's crazy. And the other way is, now he's 26 years or 27. He had a injury 2 years ago, cross ligament, and I'm sometimes wondering if he would be a Norwegian skier. That's for sure that he would ski 3-4 years ago in the World Cup, also downhill Super G. And now that's the problem from the Austrian team. You have to be really good in one discipline. He was in slalom and then in giant slalom. And now he's coming back to ski speed events. He was at the Junior World Championship, one of the best in speed events. And that's a problem, a little problem of the Austrian team, that we lose guys like this who can win the overall World Cup. The most of them we lose if they come from Europa Cup junior team to the World Cup team. And the good thing is that he shows that we have guys like this. You know,
has Austria had a 4-event skier since Günther Mader? Who am I missing?
Yeah, we had some of them, but he's. I mean, you know, there was Hermann Maier. He won 3 disciplines. It was no problem. Then he started in Wesuna in a slalom. He was 8 in a slalom, but he didn't train slalom. So that was crazy. That was just because he was in the best shape of his life, but he wasn't a slalom skier. But now it's getting really, really tough. There is another guy. It calls Raphael Haser. I saw that he was in combined, the bronze medalist, and he skied slalom. It was amazing in this really steep, difficult slalom. So you can see we have these guys, but sometimes I have the feeling we don't use them for being a 4-discipline skier, you know?
Yeah, but
and
I mean,
that's what I hope.
last one. Excuse me, Mader's the last one that's won in every discipline, right? Didn't Mader win a race in every discipline?
Yeah.
And
He
so
won,
maybe the Austrians aren't nurturing those athletes in all disciplines.
Yeah, that would be a dream to have in the World Cup a guy again who can win 4 disciplines like Lasse Cheese. That's, I mean, but it's a lot of work, and I don't know if it works anymore. A bit change we have in the past 15 years. So it's really
Schifferer. I mean, Schifferer does it, but she's very careful about picking the speed events that she races in because of the time it takes.
That's right.
It's the way to do it.
I mean, she's amazing. I love to watch her skiing. You know, if kids ask how I should ski, then normally I have to say, watch Michaela.
Yeah, she's very balanced.
Always in the middle, you know. And she wins the races not because she has the biggest upper legs or something. She wins the race because she's the best technical skier ever.
She knows how to let the skis run too. In speed, I mean, I love the way.
And that's AJ. That's the right thing you said. She knows the way how to let the skis go, and that's what Marco Schwarz knows. He is the best in let the skis go. You know, that's my mind.
Marco, we're waiting for your picks, I guess. It's hard because AJ said the whole roster, but
I'm telling you, I'm just doing the Daron. I'm just doing my best Daron.
I'll go some random ones here because it is later in the year, and I think Kilde, well, this isn't random. I think Kilde will go for the win. Since we're talking about Marco Schwarz, put Austrian on the podium with Marco, and Travis Ganong might be his last downhill in the US with his impending retirement. And we skied a bunch of powder yesterday. I think he's feeling good. So put him on third place.
Awesome. I'll end, but for some reason, I like Hemmetsberger. Hans, can you give me a little rundown on Hemmetsberger?
Yeah, I mean, my brother Franz, he's his serviceman, his ski technician serviceman. And, you know, Hemmetsberger, he's 32 years old and he had 4 cross ligament operations on his knee. And like in Kitzbuhel this year, he jumped too far after the Hausberg Kant. So at the Traverse, and then he even couldn't walk after the race, but he started the next day. So he's a really hard fighting guy. His physical, it's amazing. And he's really a tough worker and a funny guy. And he made his own way to be on this World Cup tour, because years ago, as I know 5 or 6 years ago, we know that he was pretty fast in Europa Cup. He didn't get the chance to ski World Cup because he was always injured. and then when he came to Bormio, he was amazing. I've sometimes at this before all these injuries, he had no fear, you know. And he skied this way, and maybe that was sometimes the problem. And now now he's getting smarter and smarter in ski racing, and he works really hard to be in this place in the Austrian team. And I'm so happy for him that he's now part of the best downhills in the world.
All right, so mine, I'm gonna go Kildare. I love Crawford, so I'm cheating off of AJ. Paris, I think he's a true downhiller, one of the last, and this he can really rip. Ganong, I think Ganong has the power and the feel for going out on style, and maybe he's gonna want to end making Kitzbuhel and Aspen his awesomeness. And I'm going to throw Hemmetsberger in there, even though he's got, duct tape and Band-Aids putting himself together, I guess.
That would be also a dream if we would have Johan Claret on once in his life, he should win a race.
There we go.
I mean, if it would Aspen, it would be a dream in his life. I'm really cheering for Johan Claret. He's 42 years old, and that's cool.
I think we can all agree that we would all love to see that guy on the podium this week. So Absolutely. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening and watching to our American Downhiller podcast. Special thanks to the legendary Hans Knauss for joining us from Austria, where they need some snow. He is a true champion who continues to feed his hunger for speed on the World Cup Tour as the crazy camera guy. Please spread the word about our podcast. Share with your friends, coaches, and teammates. And thanks to our American Downhiller sponsors, ADL Ski Club, Wend Wax, Elite Team Fitness Programs, and American Downhiller Camps. Stay tuned for more American Downhiller podcasts tackling development, what it's like to crash, and the World Cup finals. For AJ, Daron, Marco, and Hans, thanks for listening.
You just get up. What's the
That's some dynamite.
Oh, dynamite.
Don't let Daron hang on to that.
Don't smoke the cigarettes in there, okay? Don't smoke.